You are whole. We are whole. I am whole. Thank you, Karen Drucker, for that beautiful piece. I guess that could be beautiful peace, peace of heart, peace of mind. Also, it was a beautiful piece that she recorded, and we're so grateful for all of her work. All of you are on mute. And so I invite you to say those words to yourself out loud. I am holy, holy, holy. I am holy, holy, holy. To speak that truth out loud, take this opportunity to feel it resonate within your being. I am holy, holy, holy. I am whole. And that is the truth of each one of us. Not just us, but for every being, every life form on the planet. And everything that we see, including the planet and the sun and the moon and the stars and the universe or the universes, is holy, holy, holy. That which we can see and that which we cannot see. That is a principle of life that is ongoing, never changes. And yet, within the play of life, there is change. Reverend Dr. David Alt is writing the guides this month in the Science of Mind magazine. And we talked about this on one of our Tuesday or Thursday meditation this week, that there was one that he wrote about change, and he said that he was at a Jesuit property for a retreat, and that there was a sign up on the wall that said change. The graphics of the lettering had the C and the very last letter of the word E in a large graphic that left the middle of the word standing out to clearly see. So I know you can all imagine, and you know what that is. For the center of the word is hang, C-H-A-N-G-E. And when we let go of the idea that life is about change, evolution, and that within every life form and within all human beings, that the soul of creativity, the soul of life, the soul of birth, the soul of something new within us is always evolving. So life and the soul's calling is asking us to participate at the level of experience in this constant flow of change, but all the while being grounded in having our faith and our knowing in the idea that we are holy, holy, holy. We are whole and we are complete and we are perfect. And that what this evolution is digging down and drawing from to express itself comes from the holiness of our very own being. It's an amazing concept. It's one that is very, very freeing. Now, none of us enjoys painful experiences, but that idea of change, and when we don't participate in the full word and meaning of change, tells us that when we try to avoid it, when we try to ignore pain or pretend that it doesn't exist, that we're passing up the opportunity to have the wholeness of our very being, to draw it forward with something new. And so I invite you this week to remember that whatever pain you may be experiencing, or a pain that has not yet arisen, that it can be used to inspire you. It can be used to call you to a holy vision of what you're experiencing and what you might like to see next. Mary Oliver wrote, "Someone I love, someone I loved, once gave me a box full of darkness. It took me years to understand that this too was a gift." Has someone you loved in your life somewhere along the way given you a box full of darkness? An experience of pain that cut to the quick? One that wasn't easy to get over? I think that we can all say that, yes, we've had that experience. And that this is such a rich topic because we're all constantly being brought to the place of conscious awareness where we can say, how can I use this experience, this so-called box full of darkness, to turn toward the light, to open to what is naturally, organically trying to unfold in my life? Well, I'll tell you what, the very first thing, the very first call for us is to not turn away from it, to actually turn toward the discomfort. Because the truth is that pain is the perfect fertilizer for what is new. And yeah, fertilizer is stinky sometimes, isn't it? It doesn't smell very good when we open the bag of fertilizer for our garden, and the more organic and juicy the fertilizer, the more nutrients that go into the soil. Pain is also not a punishment. We can be much more conscious with pain when we remember that a certain experience that we're going through has not come up to punish us. We haven't done anything wrong. Sometimes when things don't work out or experiences come up that we didn't anticipate, it's the universe's way of saying you are more than this, and reminding us that life is constantly about change. And so in that way, we can let pain be a pathway to what is new. So those are three very important things that I'm going to talk about more. Pain as the perfect fertilizer. Pain is not a punishment. And that to participate in the soul's calling and to turn toward the pain consciously, as soon as we do that, we bring a double thread of our awareness to whatever the situation is that we're dealing with. We're no longer completely absorbed by it. We no longer become the idea that I must have done something wrong, because we are choosing to participate in this change that has come on our doorstep. So can you see, and I'm going to get some of your pictures up here. So can you see how that can make for a completely different experience when we have a painful experience? Carl Jung said, "Who looks outside dreams. Those who look inside awaken." If we are going to be front and center and embrace painful experiences in our life, it calls us to look within. Now, maybe we might find in that looking in that consciously or unconsciously, we may start to become aware that we've actually set our intention for this change. To consciously look within and to be open and receptive to what is coming forward and trying to express itself through us as something new brings a completely different perspective to the pain. It gives it a purpose. It gives it a reason. It gives us something to fully embrace and participate in. Ever heard that saying, change your thinking, change your life? Change your attitude, change your life? By turning toward pain, we are changing our thinking about it. By turning toward the discomfort and the challenging experiences in our life, we're no longer looking outside of ourselves for someone or something else to make us happy. Because as Karen Drucker is saying, we are wholly, wholly, wholly. Ah, how good to know that. So, Ernest Holmes reminds us, there is this question which naturally arises. Why all this suffering and sorrow and pain? Why has this tragedy accompanied my life? Well, Dr. Holmes says there is no other way through being truly an individual than to evolve. He writes, man must be let alone to discover himself. Otherwise, he would be compelled, he would be arbitrarily caused to follow a certain path, to follow one specific road. in which case he would be an automaton and not an individual. When our life is not working the way that we would like, pain invites us, he writes, to revisit our purpose and to consciously redirect our pain, to redirect the direction that we are going, to know that this too is God, that this too is good, and that the divine wisdom and intelligence within each one of us is always unfolding for our highest good, no matter what it looks like. So, if we're going to use pain for our greater good, and if we're going to let pain be the perfect fertilizer, then one of the things that we can remember is that as we go through life, we go through different seasons. Your life goes through seasons just like a garden. Pain is like the fertilizer that you use to prepare your garden, to prepare for the flowers, for the vegetables, for the trees, for the plants. That fertilizer works by providing very, very essential nutrients that are required for a strong and healthy plant. We are like a plant. Yes, we are. And a plant goes through stages. We are more than a plant. When something has served its purpose in our life and has had a full life, it begins to die away. And the more attached that we are to holding on to that one particular thing, it's actually like being nailed to the experience. And to release that experience is much more painful than it needs to be. Can you imagine the plant, the rose, the flower, the squash, those things that are still coming in our garden? Can you imagine that they've come full cycle and they've grown and they've blossomed and they've given fruit and they've given enjoyment and they've given color, just like things do in our life? And then it starts to wither. It starts to die away. It begins to change form. It wants to let go, to be released. It wants to move into a different experience. It has a fall in its life and it moves towards winter. As we participate in the idea that pain is the perfect fertilizer, we can also allow this winter of our own experience. We can allow it to be barren. We can be okay with the fact that we desire something greater in our life, whatever that may be: greater health, more prosperity and abundance, more freedom and circulation in our finances. That we go through times in our life where different relationships change, where the love that might have blossomed and have been felt at a certain time begins to die away and becomes barren and invisible. And maybe that person doesn't go away, but for a period of time, the relationship changes. because the principle of life is there, but it's hidden from our physical eye. So where might pain be guiding you to release something? To let go of being attached to something, to some idea, to some person, to some experience. Is pain guiding you to open to your soul's calling? That inner voice and feeling that moves through us that says, you are more and there's something more. And while we have all these wonderful things that are going on in our life, we can still be feeling a divine discontent. And what about when we become attached to having others agree with us? Now that can be where we begin to feel like pain is actually a punishment. So maybe the universal law of cause and effect might be telling us that we're experiencing loss because we're holding on to something too tight, or because we are attached to someone else believing what we're experiencing, or doing things or thinking the way we think that they should be thinking or doing or handling their life. Well, the idea that pain is not a punishment says that we must stop thinking, feeling, and acting like we've done something wrong if we're experiencing pain. Because what's more likely the truth is that consciously or unconsciously, as I said a few moments ago, we've actually set our intention, a clear intention for change and something new in our life. Therefore, anything that is not in alignment with your best or highest good must come forward to be replaced. Can you accept that? That even though you think it's something that you still want to have happening in your life, or something that you want to use or not let go of, can you embrace, because it causes you to feel discomfort, that it's being taken away. Can we move toward that discomfort? Can we embrace that idea and to know that anything that is not in alignment with our highest good in the present moment must be released? And that as soon as we open the pathway and make the way, then pain actually begins to transform, and it becomes that pathway for our greater good. So when something new is on the horizon, but we're not sure what it is, that is the time that we can choose the qualities of God that feel like they're missing. Love, for example, that divine love, the holy, you are holy, 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 Christine. I invite you to say that to yourself. Yes, you are holy, holy, holy. And the wholeness of God is at the very center of your being. Affirm for yourself, I participate in change. I transform pain into fertilizer for my soul's next greater calling. How good it is. None of us enjoy painful experiences. But instead of avoiding the pain or ignoring or pretending that it doesn't exist, we can accept it and we can use it in a positive way. And again, to quote Dr. Holmes, he says, we have within us a power that can overcome every obstacle in our experience and set us safe, satisfied, and at peace, healed and prosperous in a new light and a new life. And he also tells us that every problem is primarily mental. And the answers to our problem will be found in those spiritual realizations. So what's a spiritual realization? Well, that can be an affirmation. I transform pain into fertilizer as my next successful adventure. I have the power and the presence of the spirit of life within me, and I open to its calling, knowing that it is unfolding as my life and my very being for my highest good. That is speaking and affirming and calling in that greater realization. Let's not turn away. No mistakes have ever been made. There are no mistakes being made in your life, in my life, in the life of the world or the planet or the universe. We are grounded in this greater truth. And as we open our mind and our heart to accept that that is our truth, we become a part of and experience the soul's next greater evolution on the way to realizing more and more of itself. We believe that heaven is within us and that we experience it to the degree that we become conscious of it. And in closing, we envision humanity awakening to its spiritual magnificence and discovering the creative power of thought, a world where every person discovers his or her own personal power and ability to create an individual life that works within a world that works for everyone. Life is good, and so are we. Love and blessings on your spiritual journey as you move forward in your life, and pay particular attention this week, the way that your soul may be calling you to greater livingness through uncomfortable and painful experiences. And so it is. Amen.
And now it's time for our offertory. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I give, all that I have, and all that I receive. And together we affirm 3 times. I give joyfully with a consciousness of abundance. I give joyfully with a consciousness of abundance. I give joyfully with a consciousness of abundance. And in great gratitude for all the goodness in our lives, we accept these generous offerings and all offerings of time and talent and treasure. We give and receive in recognition of the unlimited abundance of a loving universe. And these gifts help to extend our beautiful teaching and enrich our lives and foster love in our communities. So may these gifts represent the heartprints of our love and our commitment to a continued awakening. And so it is.